Welcome back to another episode of the Dramatic Bible Reading Podcast. I'm your host, Bert Clemens. Well, today we have a guest reader, Benny Clemens from Bogota, Colombia, reading Job chapter 1, Job's character and wealth. Satan allowed to test Job. Now let's go to the reading.
Job chapter 1. Job's character and wealth. Satan allowed to test Job.
There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job. And that man was blameless, upright, fearing God, and turning away from evil. 7 sons and 3 daughters were born to him. His possessions were 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, 500 female donkeys, and very many servants. And that man was the greatest of all the men of the East. His sons used to go and hold a feast in the house of each one on his day, and they would send word and invite their sisters to eat and drink with them. When the days of feasting had completed their cycle, Job would send word for them and consecrate them, getting up early in the morning and sacrificing burnt offerings, according to the number of them all. For Job said, "Perhaps my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." Job did so continually. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them. The Lord said to Satan, "From where do you come?" Satan answered the Lord and said, "From roaming about on the earth and walking up and down on it." The Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? For there is none like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man, fearing God and turning away from evil." Then Satan answered the Lord, "Does Job fear God for nothing? Have you not made a fence around him and his house and all that he has on every side? But reach out with your hand now and touch all that he has, and he will certainly curse you to your face." Then the Lord said to Satan, "Behold, all that he has is in your power. Only do not reach out and put your hand on him." So Satan departed from the presence of the Lord. Now on the day when his sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house, a messenger came to Job and said, "The oxen were plowing and the female donkeys feeding beside them, and the Sabaeans attacked and took them. They also killed the servants with the edge of the sword, and I alone have escaped to tell you." And while he was still speaking, another came and said, "The fire of God fell from heaven and burned up the sheep and the servants and consumed them, and I alone have escaped to tell you." While he was still speaking, another came and said, "The Chaldeans formed 3 units and made a raid on the camels and took them, and killed the servants, and I alone have escaped to tell you." While he was still speaking, another also came and said, "Your sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house. And behold, a great wind came from across the wilderness and struck the 4 corners of the house, and it fell on the young people, and they died. And I alone have escaped to tell you." Then Job got up, tore his robe, and shaved his head. Then he fell to the ground and worshipped. He said, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I shall return there. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." And despite all this, Job did not sin, nor did he blame God.
That is the end of Job chapter 1.
Well, that concludes another episode of the Dramatic Bible Reading Podcast. You know, saints, regardless of what we have or don't have, the Lord gives us what we need. Let's continue to worship Him. Tell someone about this podcast, because you know faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of the Lord. Until next time, I'm your host, Bert Clemens.